tea time. Welcome everybody, Souldin of the Grin brothers here, and it's time for another episode of Tea Time. Now then, this tea time has been done a bit early in the morning, and I haven't actually had my usual morning tea, which is an English breakfast, or a variation of English breakfast. So I'm a little bit parched as I do this tea time. However, that's why I chose this particular tea time. I chose a variation of English breakfast I happen to have in my 12 Teas of Christmas set. I may have had this on the show before, on tea times before. English Rose I've got here. The problem is I can't remember what teas I've actually had on the show, which is why I started the tea book that I've got now, so I can list down which teas I've already had before, and that way, I know which ones I've tried out whilst recording these tea times. English Rose is a black tea with flavouring, according to the Wizard pack, with nothing that it says on there, so let me just check the back of the 12 Teas of Christmas box. A village fete tea for scones and strawberry jam with delicate flavours of glorious rose. Reading that description does kind of remind me that I think I may have had this tea before. Oh well, I've got an English rose tea here with milk. Any case, moving on from tea. Today's tea time is a simple one because it's just my sort of thoughts and opinions of the recent Nintendo Direct, the 13th of September 2017 Nintendo Direct. I'll have the usual sort of Nintendo brand in tea sort of pop up here for the title, and I'll get straight into it. I must admit, there isn't really much that excited me about this Direct. In the case of, there wasn't anything that I didn't expect to excite me, or anything that I expected to. Okay, I'll confess. There's a hope I had within this Direct. I haven't had much enthusiasm for the Nintendo Switch. That's partly to blame for the fact that I've been more involved with Namco's Pokemon Miiverse adventure than just about anything. And so, a lot of games in general just haven't been exciting me as much as just doing the Namco's and Pokemon Miiverse adventure that I've been doing, which is a Pokemon Yellow playthrough, which is interactive. That has actually just been more exciting than most games in general. There's only been a few games that have I want to do, from time to time, play over just doing more of that Miiverse adventure. Otherwise, that Miiverse adventure has just basically taken priority. But in general, the Nintendo Switch hasn't grabbed me like the Wii U definitely did, and like the 3DS managed to do at the start, and from time to time. Again, I've already mentioned my problems with the 3DS and how I had some problems with its shoulder buttons, but that still didn't stop my enthusiasm for it. The Switch I haven't had that same sort of spark with. So I was kind of hoping this to sort of give me that spark, but in a sense, I'm not sure, outside of the Nintendo Switch game Miiverse, which I know is never going to happen, I'm not sure what could reignite that spark. The things here that could potentially reignite spark are basically all the things I already know of beforehand. I mean, let's see. First off, the Direct start off with, I'll just go over some of the stuff. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon. Well, this is the Pokemon game that almost caused me to lose interest in the Pokemon series being remade. So, no, I think I'll pass on that one. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. It's coming out October 6th. That is tempting, I must admit. But then again, I've only really been a huge fan of Mario & Luigi Partners in Time, weirdly enough, despite how people say it's the weakest entry in the series. I had it downloaded, the original, on the Wii U, but I never got around to playing it. Now I had to delete it off to fit Flight of Light on the Wii U. I need to get an external hard drive for it. I figured out what went wrong with my Wii U. Last time I got an external hard drive. In any case, stuff like Layton's Mystery Journey, nice but not my thing. Same with New Style Savvy. I'm glad to see that Nintendo, still supporting some of their more obscure IPs. Although I think New Style Savvy is fairly well known. At that point, my internet died, and I had to watch the rest of it later. But there wasn't really much that really grabbed me there either. I didn't really miss much. Metroid Samus Returns I already knew about, and that does interest me, but I'm thinking that more so a present for my oldest brother, Christmas present, or Christmas present. And Rafi's considering getting the special edition because it's got a soundtrack. It's like, I enjoy the 2D Metroid games. I enjoyed Metroid Fusion. And it looks good, but again, it's nothing really new. I kind of knew about that. Speaking of new, though, one game you may have noticed I glanced over before because I wanted to hype up a little bit. Obviously, Kirby Battle Royale is a Kirby game coming out for the 3DS. To say, one, that's not on the Switch, so it's not going to help with my Switch spark, and two, that's kind of obvious that I'll be excited about a Kirby game. It's Kirby! I love Kirby games. I love Kirby! So, it's basically an arena fighter with various different game modes to it, as well as a story mode. Coming out 3rd of November, looks pretty fun. 3D arena fighter, that's generally what arena fighters are. But there's also additional modes where you do not so much fighting as the emphasis, but you're still competing against one another within that 3D arena combat. And there's some 2D segments, so like looking like 2D boss battles or things like you had in Kirby Triple Deluxe and Kirby Planet Robobot. But yeah, that's coming out 3rd of November. Didn't really need much else for this year because I've got plenty of games coming out this year. Pokken Tournament, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2's sort of port, Night of Azure 2. I've got sort of games I want sort of for the end of this year already, but hey ho, I absolutely love Kirby, so I'm definitely going to pick that up. Okay, so other things, Kirby's as I've said, Kirby's the only thing. Kirby Battle Royale is the only thing that's really excited me at this point. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga is if I had more spare time, but I certainly don't. Although I'm going to suddenly get tons of spare time once I finish Namco's Pokemon Miiverse Adventure, because that has been taking up a lot of my time, and once that's done, it's like, wow, I have so much more time to play video games. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was shown off. That was actually the first thing I saw after the Direct finished. They explained the world. It's really, I quite like the world, and I like how there's a military unit which they don't immediately just make as pure evil. It's quite nice like that. There's the more environmentally friendly one. There's the one who's using a lot of military power, sort of taking over sort of areas and such. But they're not so much the bad guys. They're trying to protect themselves and all that. And they've got the clearly evil group aside, with mysterious sort of plans and all that. I quite like that. I love the art style, but I feel it doesn't work too great in 3D. Like the artist's sort of drawings of the characters, I really like how they look in his like 2D hand drawings. But the moment it's been translated to 3D, it doesn't gel quite as well. The designs don't look that great in 3D, but I love how they look in the sort of 2D hand drawings. But yeah, drivers are supported by blades. Certain characters are blades, and they give you certain abilities and stats and such with this little tether thing. Honestly, I think the blade thing, having them sort of standing aside with like a little energy tether to the character, is kind of silly, and they should have just gone with having the characters as the blades as the actual weapons, like Fee and Skyward Sword. I think that would have been more interesting, cooler in a way. I'd have preferred it that way, rather than just sort of sitting around tethered to you. There's a collector's edition for it, and it comes out December 1st. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has... it's interesting more than any of the other Xenoblade games. However, for that, it still looks rather stiff in combat, MMO-esque sort of combat. I love the voice acting, but nah. When it comes to sword play, I've got Knights of Azure 2 to look forward to, which I can sum up as, looks like a lot more fun of a hack and slash style game, and also has the charm that I can sum it as Lesbians the Game. Which, I don't think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 I can sum that up with. Splatoon 2's got updates. Again, I think I've got that as Christmas present. I'm interested in Splatoon 2. I want to play it, but my Nintendo Switch's online connection has been really bad. That was one thing I was hoping for, more single-player Switch experiences. But of course, there wasn't much new Switch per se. Fire Emblem Warriors, the gameplay is still yet to excite me because the gameplay of Fire Emblem Warriors looks like a step back from Arslan Warriors of Legend. And Arslan Warriors of Legend had one step back in not having the C targeting that Legend of Zelda, the Hyrule Warriors had. There's a lot of elements from previous Warriors games that need to actually combine to push the series forwards, I feel, and Fire Emblem Warriors just doesn't have those. And the character roster still isn't interesting me, even with the addition of Lyn, which is at least a slightly more interesting character than the Fates and Awakening assembly they've got going so far. Snipperclips Plus, it's a new version with added stages and features. It's also going to be served up as DLC for people who've got the original, so that's pretty cool. Morphe's Law, that it's a third-person shooter that I mentioned before in the Nindies thing. I'm really glad to see it getting some love and attention, even though I have no interest in it. Then it was a bunch of other stuff. I certainly wasn't ever expecting Doom and Wolfenstein 2 to be ported to the Nintendo Switch. I mean, Bethesda have had a hate on for Nintendo for ages, so it's weird to see them actually supporting Nintendo. There's also a MOBA coming to the Switch. There's going to be a free beta. It's called Arena of Valor, and there's going to be a free beta of it during the winter. I may try the free beta, but I doubt I'll be interested in it. Again, it's an online experience, and for some reason my launch day Nintendo Switch is terrible with online connectivity. Pokken Tournament DX is just reminding that I really want Pokken Tournament DX, so hey, that's nothing new. Nintendo are getting arcade titles on Nintendo Switch. That's cool. All the Nintendo Versus series, I'd love to have Balloon Fight Versus. Going back to that Pokken Tournament thing, yeah, again, it wasn't nothing new that I wasn't already expecting, but it's something that I'm already hyped for. You can't exactly get me to want it even more than I already do. I was hoping for, a fighting game that I was invested in to come to the Nintendo Switch so I could practice on the go, and this is the case. I just need to get a bag, proper protective case for the Nintendo Switch so I can transport it about. It's funny, I'm making a motion to point to my Nintendo Switch over the opposite side of the room, but I realised that it's my dock, but that's Raf's Switch. He's been playing Bindings of Isaac recently, so he's been using the downstairs one. My one's up behind me, but I keep pointing to Rafi's in front of me. New RPG by Square, which isn't new because we already knew of it before. I mean, it is new because it's a new game that they have never made before, but it isn't new because we knew of it before because it was showed off when they revealed the Nintendo Switch properly in the January presentation. Octopath Traveler. I love the look of it. Apparently they call it 2D HD. It's got a really nice sort of style, even though I'm not a huge fan of people still using the pixel art nowadays. It's really nice how it stands out and how they've used all sorts of different art styles. You choose out of 8 protagonists, each with unique overworld actions, which is really cool. Your warrior can challenge people to a duel, dancer can allure people. And you, I think it's like Secret of Mana 3 which did this, but basically you can go about the adventure as one of the 8 protagonists, and you can find the other 8 protagonists and have them join your party, and you can get other people to join your party, and it looks really cool. They've said that it's a very simple RPG system, mostly focused on the boost points, where over turns you get boost points for each sort of turn that passes, and you can boost points to amplify certain stats, attacks, techniques, or heal people. It looks really cool, but it's like, and apparently there's a demo available now. I have to download that, and hey, that's going to be something Switch related I can get into. Once again, bringing it up, got more Danker's Pokemon Beers Adventure stuff before I do that, but hey, really nice to have a demo available, and I'll definitely try it. I'll just briefly say, there was Super Mario Odyssey stuff, for people who are interested in that. It shows off that it's an even more open world Mario than I could have even ever imagined. It's like, well, I have no interest in this. But it does look amazing. The presentation of Super Mario Odyssey is top notch. It's just not the type of Mario game experiences I would want. Which is a shame for me, but good to everyone who's been wanting that. Lost Sphere is basically a spiritual successor to I Am Setsuna. And so that's a game that interests me, and it's just basically popped up for a brief second to say, hey, you need to pre-order this from the Square Enix store so you can get the physical copy, which I do. I need to sort that out, because that's coming out like 23rd of January 2018, so that's very soon. Now I'm going to try my tea before I, of course, talk about the one hype thing. The one other hype thing, because basically the hype things for me in this Nintendo Direct are Kirby Battle Royale, Pokemon Tournament DX, Octopath Traveler, and there's one other game that's really hype and it got me excited, but it's kind of like, duh, this was expected to get me excited. So let me try this English Rose Tea, which I'm pretty sure I've already tried before. Because there's two of the 4 packs are missing, so... Well, it's not lying, it's a flavoured English breakfast. It's like English breakfast, got a hint of flavour, and then the flavour overcomes the usual English breakfast taste afterwards. To describe its flavour, well, they say rose petal, and that might be fairly accurate. It's got a slightly sweet taste, not so much fruity, but close enough. Okay, I would say more fruity, because it's definitely not sugar. It's not sweet like sugar per se. It is fruit sweeter like a fruit. Like a little bit of strawberry added to it, per se. But not quite sharp enough to be a strawberry. Don't believe it'd say what they added to it here. No, they don't say what they added to it. Let's see here. English Rose, anything you added to it? No, they just say flavouring. It says it's good with strawberry jam, so there could be a hint of strawberry with it. Very nice, regardless. I do generally prefer my flavoured English breakfasts and variations of black teas rather than the other kinds of teas. So, and of course, moving on to the last thing that interested me, the one thing that got me, of course, hyped is, hey, Kirby Switch game. They didn't really show off much new with it, but it's like, hey, Kirby Switch game. This looks like it's combining all the best parts of every Kirby game you've had before. All they need to do now is have a good story going for it, because I still feel that they get to really surpass what they did with the elements of throwing Kirby 64 together. Particularly the final boss, O2 is, like, you know, as amazing as some of the final bosses have been, I still feel O2 has gotten that sort of creepy factor done much better than anyone else. There's something much more menacing, and O2 sort of feels like the OP Eldritch Abomination, like a being who can feel nothing but suffering. In any case, I'm kind of getting off topic. Kirby Switch has a name, Kirby Star Allies. I got to see ESP and Yo-Yo abilities shown off in it, so they're really throwing together as many abilities as possible. The combination is probably going to dissatisfy some people, but given I wasn't a huge, I never was like huge into some of the gameplay elements of Kirby 64, I didn't really care too much for combination powers, and I'm more interested in the partner system. But the combination powers is more giving each other attributes to enhance your weapons, rather than combining them to make entirely new abilities. Like you get sword and you get an ice ability, and you get ice sword and stuff like that. And of course, one of the coolest things is Buff King Dedede was a boss battle, and it's like, what? Apparently there's some sort of evil sort of changing things up in Dreamland, sort of affecting things, so King Dedede suddenly became eviler and really buff, and it looks absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I'm gonna love looking up the reactions to that. And Kirby Star Allies comes out spring 2018. If that's going to be the game that triggers the spark, my Nintendo Switch Spark, that's a long time to wait. But oh well. And that was the Nintendo Direct. I think it was a good Nintendo Direct, but it didn't really, again, excite me too much. There wasn't really anything new for me. It was just kind of reminding people of all the stuff they did have coming out, and showing a couple more features for the things they were having come out. So, more of a reminder direct than a new direct. But, that's okay. That's okay. They can save new games for some of the bigger events, and when next year sort of comes along, because they've got plenty of games this year. They don't need to really worry. In any case, those are my thoughts of the September 9th, September 13th, 2017 Nintendo Direct. I hope you enjoyed this tea time, and feel free to share your thoughts below. Cheerio, everyone!